The first reason that the article discusses is financial. So right out of the bat, you want to make more money. So if you think about that, right, why would you choose a degree in computer science if you want to make more money? It's pretty obvious, right? It's one of the most hottest growing majors, in the nation right now. It's probably one of the only degrees that will probably get you to the frontier of the capability to earn money um, without doing much of, if you see certain degrees like say medicine, for instance, right? Now medicine can take you like 6, 7, 8, 10 years before you see a return. However, in the degree of computer science, people feel like it's a kind of shortcut towards making more money, right? Say you're at a job X and you decide to go to a job Y, and that job Y demands um, that certain extra qualification, or it demands a master's degree for more than 20 to 30% of a pay rise, right? Now, I could see why financial reasons make a lot of sense here, because for that particular pay rise, you're able to, just get a degree, spend 2 years in college, learn a bunch of stuff, and then get to that particular pay rise. So that's one of the reasons that you could pursue a master's for. So that's a pretty valid reason. Let me just get through the reasons first, and then we'll talk about which reason, really makes sense and which doesn't. The second reason is, and which I believe that I'm a major proponent for, and I think that this is one of the best reasons that you could get a degree in in computer science, is you want to learn to prepare yourself for a better education, right? You want to be able to make sure that people see this degree as a way of that you're able to prove to the world that, hey, I've gotten this degree in computer science from a reputed university, um, and this university has kind of like, stamped its authority on my qualification and said, okay, Sladen is a pretty good software engineer, or a pretty good engineer at the field of computer science, right? That could be one of the second reasons. And there's a caveat to this, is that the folks that generally fall into this bucket are the folks that really enjoy learning. So far we discussed two of the major buckets, right? The first one was just financial, right? You want to have the ambitious people who want to really grow in life, who want to make more money before they hit a particular age. Those are the ones that pursue the degree for financial reasons. The second one is really academic reasons. The folks who enjoy learning, they're pretty curious, they want to be able to expand their horizons just beyond not the normal bachelor's degree, or maybe just a self-taught a degree, and they want to expand their knowledge. That's the kind of people that will fall into the second category. That's the academic category. And I'm not saying that this and these two categories are just binary. You could also be pretty ambitious, you could be curious, and at the same time fall in 50% of that category and 50% of this category, which is very fair. um the third one that I think, right, is that is another primary reason for people picking this degree, and it's totally common, is that you're not ready for the real world, right? Now you are not sure of your place in the world, or you're not quite sure what is my next step from here onwards, right? You've just come out of an undergrad degree, you've spent 4 years in college, and now you're like, okay, I want to really take the next step, but I'm not really sure, I don't want to go into the workforce just yet. I'm not really sure of the path I want to take. Do I want to take computer science, or do I want to take a subfield in computer science? So the writer of this article also makes that particular same sense. It's like, okay, you're not ready for, you maybe not motivated by the financial goals, and you're not really curious about learning, but you're also not ready to take up a job in this field. So you want a couple of extra years to figure it out, and that's totally fine too. So this is the third bucket. Now, these three buckets are still valid even in today's world. There's a fourth bucket as well, where you're not quite sure of the way the world is headed in, and you just want to take a couple of extra years in college with a safer degree, that most of the people are following, the top rankers at the best colleges, say MIT, Harvard, or even the IITs in India are following particular, you know the trend is still towards CS, and you want to follow that trend. So that's completely fine too, right? That makes complete sense. So now, among these three buckets, right, that if you fall in these three buckets, so by the time of this video, I've discussed the three major buckets, and while I've been narrating this entire thing, you might think to yourself, okay, I fall into any one of these buckets. Now, if you fall into any of these three buckets, you've placed yourself, right? You've placed yourself in these buckets. Let's kind of now break down, in the age of AI, which of these three buckets still holds value. The first one, financial. So you want to make more money, right? if you're coming into this field thinking that you're going to get a job in computer science purely from the basis of software engineering, right? LLMs are getting really, really good at the execution part of software engineering. So, say I have a task A and I want to get to a task B. I know exactly how to get there in my head. I can describe that to the LLM, and in a few steps, it's able to, plan, design, and execute. I'm still required to verify the output. I'm still required to read the code. I'm still required to make sure that it's really accurate and it does what it's supposed to do. However, the pure execution part of it, like being able to write code, that part has been completely abstracted away from us, and that part is being done very, very well by the LLMs. So if you fall in the category of saying that I'm going to just come in here and I'm going to execute and I'm going to earn a paycheck, I think that particular part has been completely removed from the area of software engineering. So if your goal is to make more money, okay, and if your goal is to come into in the field of software engineering to earn one of the top kind of, like, salaries, this part still holds true. You can still be among the best software engineers in the company, the top 5%, the top 10%, and still earn and still make more money. So if I subtract the execution part of it, and if you purely come here to focus on the design aspect, to learn how stuff works, how computers work, and you're willing to put in the effort. So if you're coming in 2026 and you're watching this video, and even if it's 2027, 2028, this part of the video will still hold true, because LLMs, even if they get exponentially really good from here on, the fundamentals are still going to stay the same. So if you're going to come here purely from the basis of making money, yes, I would say it's possible. However, you would still need to invest that entire 2 years in understanding the basics and understanding and having a curiosity to learn, and trying to go out there to become one of the best. And this part that I just described ties into the second part as well. The second category, the folks that fall into the academic one, I think those are the ones that are the most well positioned even in the age of AI. So if you're going to come into from the point of view of learning something new, being able to understand what are the basics, being able to design, reason about it, spend a considerable amount of time in the space to be able to learn all of it all. At that point, I think that the degree is still worth it. You coming here to complete a degree in computer science with the sole aim of learning, with the sole aim of having curiosity to kind of break it down, understand, and grow, yes, it still makes sense. So I don't want to spend much time on the academic, because that's the part that's the most straightforward. If you want to learn, if you want to grow, yeah, definitely. No amount of not learning will kind of like satiate your curiosity. So you, as a curious person, I'm a curious person too, so being able to do that, I think it's still pretty valid. So being an academic, for the academic reasons, for curiosity reasons, yes, it's still worth doing a degree. However, if you're in the third category, right, and if you're not sure and you think that a master's degree is going to buy you time in this world of AI, I think that that's not going to be the case. The reasons are pretty straightforward, is because the execution part has been taken away, as I mentioned earlier. So if you do not have the motivation to spend time learning things deeply, that entire layer of abstraction the LLMs already can do pretty well. So if you come in here and you're going to say, hey, I'm just going to spend my time learning surface level stuff, not diving deep into things, just getting good grades, just scraping by, I feel that that approach is not going to, take you forward in this world of AI, because the surface level thinking, the high level thinking, in terms of like just knowing the basics right off the bat, has been abstracted pretty well by these LLMs. So if you're thinking that you're gonna just buy an extra amount of time, I think I would advise against it. I would rather advise you to focus on learning things that will help you earn money, for instance, right? So if you are not ready, pick a different degree, or either just go into the industry thinking, okay, I'm going to learn AI, I'm going to leverage AI, and I'm going to make a living for myself from there, or then take an exponential path. After you do that, and your learning starts to plateau, then you can think about doing a master's. So I think out of all of the three things that I described, the social aspect is the one that I would kind of like be careful towards taking a CS degree, because now the bar is quite high for getting a master's degree, or to be able to be really excellent in this field. So I would rather say that if you want to pick, it would either be financial reasons. I still think you can still do it as long as you're curious enough, you want to work hard enough, and the academic reasons. So if you're an academic and you want to learn, yes, that does make a lot of sense. So I hope I was very clear in this video. I think if you fall in any of these three buckets, starting from 1, 2, and 3, I think I've clearly articulated why you should do a master's. Is it still worth it? And if you still fall into one of these degrees, or if you think, you fall into a some category that is not mentioned here, feel free to reply in the comments, and I'll make sure that I can help you out. So yeah, that's all for me, and I hope I see you in another video. Take care.